think I have one more theory to kind of talk through, but that theory is going to lead us into the next talking point. And it's the big part of the trailer where he gets arrested and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any other non-related theory to that you want to discuss before we move on to that theory?
There's one thing, I guess, kind of keeping on this whole different Doctor Strange. Even though you've not seen the TV spot, have you seen the other photo shot of Doctor Strange where he is sort of in like red and blue and his hair's got like a strip through it missing?
That leads into my other theory. Yeah.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So the thing I was just going to say is, going off what we've seen, I'm predicting we have 4 different Doctor Stranges in this film.
At least, yeah. I think that's a very fair assumption. So that Doctor Strange you were talking about, thank you for leading me so beautifully into the start of my theory, is Defender Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. That's just how people are referring to him. I assume he looks like Doctor Strange did in a comics where he teamed up with the Defenders.
Right.
And there is this shot where that version of Doctor Strange and American Chavez are like falling through a portal. But he looks very limp and almost dead-like Defender Strange.
Right.
And then straight after that shot, I believe, we then see the big structure of Doctor Strange outside the building.
Yes.
Which then leads into him being frog-marched by the Ultron bots into what looked like a courtroom.
Yes. Do you want to know a little Easter egg that someone's found out?
Go on.
That shot of him walking through...
Oh, I know this. It's so fucking cool. Tell everyone. It's so cool.
I think I'm getting this correct, but it's the British Transport Museum? Or the British History Museum?
Yeah,
one of the
British
two.
History Museum.
But like someone that knows that place very well instantly recognised it and lined them up, and they've done a bit of CGI, but that's where they've shot the...
Yeah, they've shot that and then
cool
edited
Easter
it.
Egg.
So as he walks in, you see the back, the kind of side back of a bald-headed man, and that voice.
Very familiar.
I mean, it's Patrick Stewart's voice, isn't it? It just is. So I watched the trailer originally basically on mute. So when I saw the back of the head, I was like, "Oh, that could be him." And then I saw the internet guy nuts. I was like, "Guys, relax. It's just the back of a head." Then I realised there was actually audio that I hadn't heard with it. I was like, "Oh shit, no, that is Patrick Stewart, back as Professor X."
Yeah. As soon as I heard the voice, I was like, "This has to be right."
So that courtroom is okay. So this is where it could get a bit messy, and I'm going to really try and stay on topic. So that courtroom looks like it's going to be the courtroom of the Illuminati. And I don't mean Jay-Z and Beyonce Illuminati. I mean Marvel's Illuminati. So the Illuminati in the comics were a group of the most intelligent characters in the Marvel universe who made the hard decisions between themselves without consulting anyone else.
Yeah.
That includes Namor the Submariner, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Professor X, and Reed Richards.
Right.
They're like the traditional ones.
Okay.
There's a couple of changes to that at different times. So, what people think is Defender Strange that we saw is part of that Illuminati.
Okay.
And they've arrested this Doctor Strange because they think he might be responsible for killing that Doctor Strange.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they think he might be an evil variant because they're all smart enough to know that an evil variant of each of them exists, and that person would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
So a lot of the discussion then is about who else is on the Illuminati.
Yeah.
We see 2 more silhouettes and a couple of empty chairs. One of the silhouettes looks quite tall and thin. People are assuming that might be a Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
Which would make complete sense.
And trying to enhance and see if there's a number 4 on his chest.
So, see, they've zoomed in a little bit. And they're like, there's a light little patch on, like, in the right kind of place for number 4 there.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it sounds so stupid, but it makes complete sense at the same time. So I can't go, oh, that's definitely not true. It could very well be true.
Yeah.
Then they also think the other silhouette, based on like the ways, like what you can see of the silhouette other than the chair, they think that might be Tom Cruise's superior Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are confused as to why Tom Cruise he has to be the Iron Man variant. Him and Robert Downey Jr. were the last 2 in the running to play Iron Man, which is why everyone's convinced they've got him to come back for it, because they know he can play that character. Just so everyone's confused as to why I keep saying it's Tom Cruise. And that's when we just kind of have empty seats.
Yeah.
And then you see Baron Mordo, who we haven't seen or heard from since the end of Doctor Strange 1, where he took the crippled man's magic away, so he was crippled again. Yeah. Now, a lot of people are going, oh, maybe Mordo's on this Illuminati. The way he's creeping around the back and then slightly later in the trailer, like, attacks him in the middle of the courtroom, I don't think he is part of this Illuminati.
No.
I think he broke in to try and kill Doctor Strange before Doctor Strange could help them work out what the fuck's going on.
Okay, I have a different theory.
Okay.
So
let me hear it.
I don't think Doctor Strange is there for killing another Doctor Strange. I have a theory that maybe there's a variant of Kang on the Illuminati.
Okay.
And maybe this Illuminati is more focused on controlling the timeline.
Maybe.
And I wonder if why am I forgetting his name? The one that we just talked about creeping around.
Mordo.
I wonder if Mordo's gone to them saying that Doctor Strange has done all this shit fucking with the timeline, and he's the reason that Doctor Strange gets arrested because he feels he should be severely punished for it.
Maybe.
And maybe he's there because he's the one that's trying to get our Doctor Strange punished or killed or whatever, and then maybe it doesn't go that way and then he gets annoyed.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's where my head was with that. Because I get the sense that Mordo's more pissed off at him for our Strange thinking he can just change the timeline and mess with things.
Maybe.
And seems to want him punished for that.
I mean, Mordo just dislikes Strange's arrogance, full stop.
Yeah.
Like the last thing he says to Strange at the end of the first Doctor Strange film is everything comes due.
Yeah.
So I think he just used this as a general time to take revenge more than anything specifically. He just doesn't think Doctor Strange is worthy.
Yeah, which is why I think maybe he went to Illuminati.
I like where your head's at.
Them to do it.
Yeah. Really like where your head's at. And then the other rumor I've heard is, and this is proper niche, I haven't even watched this show. So Marvel did a TV show called The Inhumans, which was set in the MCU. I think it has since been retconned because of how god-awful it was.
I never watched it.
Yeah, it was that bad. It was cancelled, but it was cancelled before it aired its first episode. But they had already made 13 episodes, so they just aired them, and nothing got resolved as far as I know. It was god-awful. So the actor who played Black Bolt in that, I'll give you a quick rundown for people who don't know. Black Bolt is king of the Inhumans, which are budget X-Men. He is in charge of all of them. His superpower is his voice destroys everything. So he has taken a vow of silence because otherwise he would destroy everything. He can use his voice to fly. There's a very cool comic book strip where Hulk goes to beat the shit out of Black Bolt, and Black Bolt like sends him flying by just whispering no at him. And then he goes, I didn't come here to hear you say no, I came here to hear you scream. and then he beat him so badly he made him scream. Very, very cool. Black Bolt's voice is just disgustingly powerful. That's what you need to be aware of. And he, like I said before, he's been a part of the Illuminati. People think the actor who played him in that TV show might be reprising his role because he actually wasn't bad in that. Granted, he didn't say anything, so it's difficult for him to be bad, but he kind of carried that presence quite well.
Yeah.
The script and the other stories and acting just let him down, I feel. So they're kind of giving him another chance here to see if it works, which I'm curious about. But what that gives us is an interesting. You're sitting there and you're going, okay, so there is rumours that are pretty strong that 5 of the original 6 members of the Illuminati are going to be in this film.
Yep.
Now, do you want the really fun bit?
Go on.
And this is, if I'm, this would make me very happy. He's one of my favourite characters on paper. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read any of his comics, but what I have seen about this character, and like he had like a little bit part in one of the first comics I owned, like I recently discovered, from when I was like 6. So Namor is the king of Atlantis.
Okay.
Yeah, Hori's just clocked where I'm going.
Maybe, but probably not, because I have a feeling any other business later links to this.
So in the comic book realm, Atlantis and Wakanda have long had conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some leaks from the Black Panther set that shows lots of big swimming pools of water.
You stole my Black Panther update.
And it has long been rumoured that Namor would be the antagonist of Black Panther 2. I will be surprised if we don't see or get a tease of Namor in Doctor Strange 2. Being that he is the 6th member of the original Illuminati, and we have good reason to think we'll see the other 5. And the fact that it's pretty... I mean, I'd say we've got a better than not chance of him being one of the antagonists, at least, of the next Black Panther film.
Yep.
If we don't get a big tease about the empty chair, or we might just see the person, that might be how they reveal who's playing him, full stop.
Yeah, possibly.
I won't be surprised.
Yeah, so I had a note about this, which was going to be for a bit later when we get to like any other business. But I have also seen those leaked shots of from Black Panther and them in the tanks. So then looked into it more. So as soon as you said Atlantis, then I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
This is all just making more sense, and it feels like that's definitely what is going on the shooting of Black Panther. And I think you're right. This would be a great way for them to use the actor, and then also just introduce the fact that Atlantis is a thing, and just kind of set it up that it's there. Or like maybe they say he's not there because he's off dealing with Atlantis, and they just name drop the place. Just
all I can really say is Namor is one of the oldest comic book superheroes. He is one of the coolest comic book superheroes. And the only reason we didn't have him in the MCU sooner was because of licensing problems from when Marvel nearly went bust. They wanted, before the MCU, we had that really bad Hulk film.
Yeah.
They wanted the sequel to that to have Namor in it, but they just couldn't get the rights worked out. And I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, okay then.
For him to potentially make his big screen debut. And I cannot quite put into words how excited I am at the prospect of doing character profile on him in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I think with what you're saying and different, like it just even more things now like pointing to the fact that these leaks are legit.
So just to put it in perspective, like I've recently changed rooms. I've mentioned it, Tori. It's not something that needs to be discussed on it. And while we were doing that, I found on my bookshelf a comic that I had vague recollection of. Let me see if I can find it here quickly. Yeah.
For those of you
This one right here.
Conor and Horizontal, a Spider-Man comic.
Yeah. From like, it looks like around the time Spider-Man 3 was coming out, which was 2007 by the looks of it, according to the back of this. So I would have been like 8 years old at the time. So like I had comic books before I even remember me having comic books. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but right there, that's the mall right there.
Okay.
So it's kind of a surreal thing for me because when I found these, it was like fully like memory unlocked kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it actually, in a really weird way, has made me feel a little bit like nostalgic and a little bit emotional. Like he could be so close to being on the big screen when that's my first taste of superheroes ever in like that kind of medium.
Yeah. It's cool.
So like that's really given me quite a happy feeling that it looks very realistically on the cards.
Yeah, 100%. That's cool.
I don't think. Oh, I've got one more theory. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like just a million. This one is proper shot in the dark. So just
okay.
Like, don't put any credit in this. We don't need to spend time picking it apart.
We hold Conor to this down to the bone.
People are wondering whether, in actuality, the Illuminati is in the main MCU Earth. And what if, pardon the pun, the reason Charles exists but no other mutants do is this is actually kind of post House of M, which was a comic run in which Wanda made all mutants disappear. And everyone's kind of wondering if they're going to like take bits and pieces from that, or something like Professor X is like using his telepathy to make everyone think mutants doesn't exist, or something like that. Super shot in the dark. I don't remotely believe it, but I'd be fuming if I saw that we didn't talk about it and then it ends up being true. So just to throw it out there, I don't hold a lot of stock in it. I think it would be very lazy writing. And I think unless they pulled it off superbly, it would just make me angry.
Staying on the location of the Illuminati, one of the first things when I was watching the trailer and that they showed that shot, before you like zoomed in and saw him being led by Ultron robots, my initial like instant thought was, oh, it's the TVA.
It did kind of have that vibe.
Which kind of then plays into my idea of like,
Kang
there's a Kang on the board, and maybe this is a variant of the TVA.
Maybe. I hadn't considered that. I like it. Possible.
Because then that way, it can kind of exist in its own little pocket, which would then make sense why there's people from different universes are there. It's like it's just certain people, certain variants of characters are at this like one spot, and why there's no like other mutants or other like just was an instant like my initial thought when I saw the shot of the place, but then obviously we saw different stuff and I was like, oh, okay, this might not be the TVA. But
no, it definitely but that could just be like the authoritarian vibe to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like hard to judge because obviously like every variant of things can be so different if they want.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I've talked about on previous episodes is my thought of how Doctor Strange becomes Sorcerer Supreme again. And I've said I think Wong's going to die at some point.
If Wong dies, we are going to get cancel horizontal trending, because if you spoke on Wong's death into existence, Hori, I'll be looking for a new co-host.
I've said it in previous episodes that I think at some point Wong's going to die and Doctor Strange will regain the title of Sorcerer Supreme. There's a
I
shot in the trailer where Wong is holding on and screams out to Strange, and I'm like, is this where Wong dies?
I don't think Wong dies. I think Wong replaces Strange in a different universe that no longer has a Sorcerer Supreme.
Interesting.
So we lose Wong, but they also don't kill him in case they want to use him again, because he's a fan favorite.
Being a fan favorite doesn't protect you anymore.
Just here's the thing: now that the multiverse is open, they can go into the more comic book.
Yeah.
They can go into the comic book bullshittery of kill someone off and just bring a new one in, which movie fans are going to take a little while to adjust to. Veterans are going to be like, "Oh, okay, cool." It's just how they do it.
Yeah, there was just a shot in the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, Wong hanging onto a cliff."